Happy St. Patrick's Day everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about Krabby Land, and the camping episode. First, I'm going to talk about Krabby Land. Enjoy! One morning, SpongeBob looks at his calendar and realizes that it is the first day of summer, and he gets excited. When he goes to work, he sees Mr. Krabs even more excited for summer. SpongeBob asks him why, and he says that on summer vacation, children go around spending money, and the Krusty Krab will get more profits through kiddie meals, which he raises the price of from $1.99 to $4.99. However, he sees that the children are all at a new playground, and decides to make a playground of his own called Krabby Land. At work the next day, Mr. Krabs reveals the grand opening of Krabby Land, which he proudly built himself. When it is uncovered, it is revealed to be little more than an unbelievably dopey-looking assembly of cheaply made and dangerous attractions that will definitely collapse under their own weight. The children are horrified, yet speechless with disappointment, but Mr. Krabs gives them coloring books, liability waivers, and says that whoever hands theirs back gets to meet Krabby the Clown. He tells them that the clown will come soon, and tells SpongeBob to stall the kids while he counts the money. SpongeBob pretends to be Krabby's sidekick, the Krabby Patty burglar, but the children hate him. He accidentally injures himself while trying to amuse them by blowing bubbles and getting soap liquid in his eyes, which makes the kids laugh. He realizes that the kids like it when he is in pain, and begins intentionally harming himself, even hiring two thugs to torture him by feeding him lima beans. After a while, SpongeBob goes to Mr. Krabs, who is sorting through a large stack of money, and tells him that he cannot stall the children anymore, being horribly beaten and missing limbs. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob he is being selfish and tells him to get back there and stall, but upon seeing SpongeBob's legs flying around, he fears that his windows will be smashed and broken, so he tells him to let the crowd of children enter the restaurant for Krabby the Clown's arrival. Excited, the children and SpongeBob rush in front of Mr. Krabs, who welcomes Krabby the Clown. However, it turns out that Mr. Krabs turns around and immediately puts on a tie and a blue painted tomato on his nose, and does a cheap imitation of the clown. He then walks back into his office, leaving the children and SpongeBob jaw-dropped in confusion. This latest rip-off is the last straw for the children and SpongeBob. An extremely disappointed SpongeBob confronts Mr. Krabs, expressing his disdain for such a rip-off and calls him Cheapy the Cheapskate. Mr. Krabs undresses from his costume and finally admits that he does not care about the children, but for the money of their parents, and is willing to do whatever it takes to get their money, and even calls the kids being the victims of his scam, no skin off his nose. He then taunts SpongeBob for being unable to stop him in time by saying twice, "Survival of the fittest." Mr. Krabs tries to go to the bank with the money he has made, but he is confronted by an angry mob of children who have overheard his confession and are planning to punish him. Mr. Krabs, realizing that he is about to be punished and has given the kids his confession which was not taken well, tries to reconcile, but fails as the kids charge, beat him up, and destroy the playground. Inside, SpongeBob is disappointed that he will never learn the true meaning of summer. Monroe then calls SpongeBob over about the summer miracle, where the kids take back all their money and distribute it back to themselves. SpongeBob guesses it is the true meaning of summer, but he asks Squidward where Mr. Krabs is, who is missing out on all the summer fun. The scene cuts to Mr. Krabs, tied on all fours between wooden poles, who wants the return of his green stuff, and begs for freedom. However, the thugs, paid by the children for his swindling, only reply to him with a can of lima beans and a truckload of them, causing him distress by the torture of what SpongeBob went through earlier. Next, I'm going to talk about the camping episode. Enjoy! Squidward is preparing for bed as he looks forward to a weekend of maze peace and quiet, especially with SpongeBob and Patrick deciding to go camping. However, he is extremely exasperated and disappointed to learn that they are camping in SpongeBob's front yard, right outside his window. Squidward confronts SpongeBob and Patrick in their tent, pointing out they cannot be camping if they are only 10 feet away from SpongeBob's house. SpongeBob simply states that it does not matter where you camp, as long as you are in the wilderness. After getting the impression that the duo believes Squidward is not manly or qualified enough to camp, he impulsively decides to join SpongeBob and Patrick in their camping. Squidward attempts to demonstrate real camping, As SpongeBob and Patrick take notes, the latter is really doing a tic-tac-toe game, but Squidward fails to set up his automated tent, so he decides to sleep under the stars. The gang begins roasting marshmallows while imitating astronauts. Squidward dismisses them and plans to get a can opener from his house so he can eat a can of Swedish barnacle balls. However, SpongeBob stops him from doing so, saying that it just doesn't seem to fit the camping spirit. Squidward grudgingly decides to eat the marshmallows, but Patrick repeatedly blows on his burned ones that are covered in fire, sending them flying into Squidward's face. SpongeBob then plays the campfire song. Squidward dislikes it and begins playing Kumbaya very badly on his clarinet. Suddenly, a terrified SpongeBob stops Squidward by shooting a marshmallow with his slingshot through his clarinet and into his windpipe, causing him to choke. After Squidward recovers, he yells at SpongeBob for hurting him. He claims that it is not safe to play the clarinet badly in the wilderness at night, as he might attract a sea bear. Squidward angrily protests that sea bears do not exist, but SpongeBob and Patrick insist that they are real, by showing two newspaper articles of the Bikini Bottom Inquirer and Fake Science Monthly as proof, where one newspaper says, "I married a sea bear," and the other says, "The sea bears and fairy tales are real." Squidward attempts to disprove their existence by having SpongeBob and Patrick list all the things which supposedly attract sea bears, such as stomping harder, eating cheese cubes, wearing a hoop skirt and clown shoes, using a sombrero in a ridiculous way, waving a flashlight back and forward quickly as its natural prey, etc. He then begins doing all these actions at once, despite SpongeBob and Patrick's pleas. He quickly draws an anti-sea bear circle in the dirt to protect himself and Patrick tells that as it was shown on the second newspaper of Fake Science Monthly that the learning article says, "How to stop a sea bear." Squidward then gloats how a sea bear has not arrived, to which SpongeBob explains he forgot one thing, wearing a sombrero in a goofy fashion. Just then, a real sea bear appears and demonstrates how the hat should be worn upside down, much to Squidward's horror. Enraged, the bear mauls the shocked Squidward before leaving. SpongeBob and Patrick urge Squidward to jump into their circle, but he is skeptical of this and tries to flee, only to be attacked by the sea bear again for various reasons like walking and crawling. After being attacked for the sixth time, SpongeBob concludes the sea bear simply does not like Squidward. After failing to draw his own anti-sea bear circle, Squidward finally leaps into SpongeBob and Patrick's. When the sea bear appears again, it notices Squidward is now in the circle and growls at him in warning for now being safe, before leaving the area. Squidward is relieved the creature is finally gone and thanks SpongeBob and Patrick for saving his life as the trio celebrate. SpongeBob mentions they are lucky to not be attacked by a sea rhinoceros. Hearing this, Squidward fearfully asks what attracts them, to which Patrick replies, the sound of a sea bear attack. A sea rhinoceros then appears and growls at Squidward. SpongeBob remarks how lucky they all are to be wearing anti-sea rhinoceros undergarments, except for Squidward, who does not have a pair on, causing him to whimper in resignation and fear. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.